Good morning, Grinders. Welcome to DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka Blender Ed, Blender HD. If you want to follow me on Twitter, and it's Thursday, July 7th. On the calendar, dog days of summer. I'm getting some seasonal allergies, so maybe this show will be short today. I got a tickle in my throat. I got some buildup or whatever. So I don't know how long I'm going to be able to talk for. So maybe not the full hour. We'll see what's going on. Depends on what you guys want to talk about in the chat. I see you guys in the YouTube chat. Give me those thummy thumbs. Give me those thummy thumbs. It helps me out in early in the morning. It solves my my nasal decongestion and everything. It'll help me out. Okay, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Hit the notification bell. Good morning, Suki Singh, as usual. Brian C, card fan. You got something you want to talk about? You got questions? Put in the chat. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to do this morning. Because there's not that much to talk about. We'll be doing MMA tomorrow. So if you want to get all the premium stuff for MMA, we got the projections, we got ownership, we got the expert survey, we typically the MMA grounded pound podcast is now longer, and it has my DFS analysis, it has Liam's fight analysis, Mike's there with a little bit of both, and that's premium. That's about it. We typically do almost 2 hours. It's 12 fights. And no matter how many fights there are, it typically is a 2-hour show. But that's only for premium members. So sign up for RotoGrinders Premium. You get everything, right? Combo package gets you MLB, gets you MMA, gets you everything, gets you lineup HQ, which, I mean, I think that's worth the price of admission by itself. So click on that link in the description. Get $10 off your first month. But yesterday the Dodgers kind of didn't get there. They really didn't get there. Who would have expected Jose Urena to pitch a 2-hitter or something through like 6 or 7 innings? I didn't. And then the Yankees had no runs through 5 innings and then scored a million. And especially when Josh Van Meter comes out and a position player pitching in the 9th inning gives up a couple of home runs, right? If your stack didn't get there by then, right? Even Aaron Hicks, who didn't even start the game, he got a grand slam. Judge got a grand slam. Stanton got a home run. Even Kiner Falefa, he had a big game, right? So if you didn't have the Yankees yesterday, you were pretty much dead. But in the 121 yesterday, I mean, I cashed. I came in 54th, right? I played a Rays stack again, but I also played the Dodgers with them, right? So I still played Betts, Freeman, Justin Turner. Look how owned Freeman and Betts are in this contest. 51%, 42%. What was an 8-game slate yesterday? Look how owned they were. But the Rays really weren't. And the popular combination was Nola and Javier. And if you were to go cheap, I mean, Brayan Bello or Bayo, whatever, the Red Sox like rookie pitcher making his major league debut, he was only 5,000 on DraftKings. He was like 39% owned. I could probably find someone that had, let's see. We have, here's Bello. 39%, 39.9, almost 40% owned. Right? Javier was 66% owned. So I thought that's a good option. The Rays projected well against Bayo. Bayo projected well for 5,000. So like if you were paying up for like I could see here in this type of lineup, you're trying to play the Phillies plus the Dodgers, yeah, you need something like Bayo. But I don't necessarily eat all of this ownership to do so. So like in my lineup, like I just stacked against him and then played Max Fried because I just paid the two highest priced pitchers. Right? You lose some ownership here, and then you play the leverage stack against the SP2 that's going to be popular. And Josh Lowe was only 2,000 leading off. So, I mean, he was going to be somewhat owned, but I mean, pretty much the rest of the Rays weren't. Right? 8% for Mejia, 8% for Walls, 8% Wander Franco, 4% of Rosarino with the home run. I mean, other than the fact that Freeman, and Betts didn't get there, and the Yankees obviously destroyed. So I was looking to like, oh, Freeman gets 17 and Turner gets 20, Betts gets 20. You know, I got a shot, right? 100, but no. First place in this contest was obviously a Yankees stack. You didn't. Schwarber hit 2 home runs yesterday, and you didn't even need him. You didn't need him, right? Javier Nola. So I mean, look, he didn't. It's not like even the 2 best pitchers. But then you have the Yankees, right? 4% Higgs, 8% Torres, which I mean, 12 is whatever. Donaldson with the home run at 2.8% owned. Judge with the grand slam, right? 35. Gallo had a home run, 20 points, and he still had a Rosarina in there. So yeah, so this was a 5-2-1 with Mancini over here. Still with the 2 chalkiest pitchers. That won. Right, we go to the second place lineup. Right, we still get Judge, IKF, LeMahieu, Carpenter, so 4-man. Josiah Gray had a great game. He was barely owned against the Phillies. He had 11 strikeouts. Still didn't get there, though, right? It's kind of a little bit messy, right? Alvarez, Bregman, kind of a 4-2. There's a 1 there. There's a whatever. His brick 75. Here's Gallo, Judge, LeMahieu, Torres, Higgs, right? With Nola and Bayo, and then Hoskins, Seager, and Schwarber. He has 5-2-1, right? As long as if Bayo would have just pitched a little bit better, could have won with this, right? You needed the Yankees yesterday. I mean, essentially. I mean, this was kind of the nut combo, right? Judge and Schwarber together in the outfield. I don't know if any shortstop did well. Did any shortstop do well? Was IKF? Yeah, IKF, I guess. Yeah, he's shortstop eligible. We go down over here. I mean, you're gonna see pretty much all Yankee stacks. And Judge was only 11% owned. I mean, he was also 6,100. So you need the Yankees. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You needed the Yankees yesterday against Mitch Keller, and it didn't really matter what the pitchers. I mean, like that's what, like in this 121, there's 459 entries. You don't have to be perfect, right? If we go to results DB for like the large field, the relay throw from yesterday, even there you didn't even have to be perfect. Look, Javier was in the winning lineup. Javier Severino. Still Yankees, Rays, right? With the Rosarina, Yandy Diaz, and G-Man Choi. 207.15. But look, the winning lineup of the 121, 166. Right, there's a much bigger difference between a 459 entry contest and a 19,607 entry contest. You don't have to be perfect in this 121, especially when the ownership is going to be that condensed. Because we saw like Betts and what Betts was 51%. I mean, what was he here? 30% owned. Okay. So in the large field, Mookie Betts was 30% owned. Freeman was 24% owned. In the 121, Betts was 51% owned and Freeman was 42% owned. Max Muncy, 30%. He had 0. I don't even see. What is his ownership in the 121? I'm not even sure. Let's go down to the bottom and see if we can find anyone with Muncy. 51%. Half the lineups in this contest were playing some form of the Dodgers. Half, not a third, right? In the results in the large field, yeah, okay, you get a 30% owned Betts, a 30% owned Muncy, a 24% owned Freeman. Yes, they're the most owned players. Sure, yeah, I get it. But still, that combines to like, well, how many Dodger combinations are there in large field? A third of the lineups. 30% of the lineups, 25% of the lineups. So fading the Dodgers in large field, I mean, there's more lineups you're competing against. There's more people are willing to not play the chalkiest players. But in the small field stuff, 459, you know how much leverage you get by not playing the Dodgers? And I didn't even need that. And the thing is that how much do you need? I mean, they projected so much better than everyone else that even in my lineup, like once I didn't play Javier and I was playing the Rays stack, like what else do I need to do? I don't need to do anything else. So if I do get a Freeman or a Mets in my lineup, What am I gonna? They're the best projected players. I don't need to score 207 points. 166 would have been fine on this slate. And I got a better pick, right? 7% on Max Fried, scored 21 points. That was pretty good for pitcher yesterday. So that was my day yesterday on DraftKings. Made money on DraftKings, bombed totally on FanDuel. Bombed. I didn't have Schwarber. Didn't have Schwarber was like 30-something% owned on FanDuel or something. Ridiculous owned on FanDuel for some odd reason. It's not like it was unowned. Like if we take a look here in the large field, like Schwarber was what 18% owned. But a lot of the 3-mans, 5-mans type of thing, someone had Schwarber. Or 2 people had Schwarber. I didn't. Take a look at some lineups up here. The whistles. Right, whistle. Look how much was your whistles had to the Yankees. A lot. A lot. If we go to, let's see, compare exposures, a bunch of people. Let's take a look at like Aaron Judge. Yeah, I mean, whistles was kind of the standout. He played at just a ton of the Yankees. Everyone else was kind of like, okay, they're there. Yeah, I guess some. Right, Matt, you can tell by Matt Carpenter. 84%. I don't know. Spread out more a pitcher. Barely played any Max Muncy. Barely played any Jordan Alvarez or Schwarber. Right, barely played any Schwarber and still had all the Yankees. And even but doing so, his ROI was only $3,000 in this contest, which is good. Like most of the time, you had 95% of people lose, right? So even with 150 lineups, right? You come in. What did he come in? He didn't even come in that high. Like I'm gonna take a look. Where was the? He probably just cashed a lot of lineups. Let's see, whistles. Yeah, 36th, 54th. Right, just yeah. Obviously, with the Yankees, you're just going to cash a lot of lineups. So even though his highest lineup was only 36th place, he was the 4th highest ROI player on the slate user. Obviously, Garnes 222. I mean, he won the 50,000, and yeah, I mean the top 3 makes sense because they're in the top 3, right? Garnes, ST Gray, Locks is here, right? So you can understand that they win the most amount of money. It's odd that Whistles won the 4th most just by obviously playing. When you play 95% Joey Gallo and he hits a home run, you're going to do pretty well. Yeah, when you have 69% of a grand slam and 65% of this home run, actually Matt Carpenter kind of held him back, if anything. I don't know. Typically, I don't see Whistles making these dramatic type of stands or whatever. Typically, is a little bit more spread out. Brian C said, "I just crossed off the Dodgers entirely. Got to get different. You can do that." But if you crossed out the Dodgers, more likely than not, you're playing at least kind of the chalkier pitchers, the better projected pitchers. It was kind of hard to get rid of the Dodgers projected so well yesterday because their team total was hovering around 6. It was so far higher than everyone else's, and their pricing they weren't that expensive as they should be. Will Smith wasn't in the lineup, so that opened up some value if you want to play Jake Lamb or something. So from a projection standpoint, yes, if you crossed out the Dodgers, that's fine, but that doesn't mean you have to raise your projection somehow. Most likely you were playing Nola or Javier or Severino or Bayo at 5,000. It didn't work out. But that was yesterday. I don't know what you guys want to talk about today. I really have nothing to talk about. Okay, review yesterday. Take a look at today a little, I guess. Is it Dylan Cease day? It's Dylan Cease and Spencer Strider day. They're the top 2 pitchers. Well, 8.5 strikeout prop on Dylan Cease against the Tigers. Okay, that's going to be kind of chalky, I guess. So we take a look at some of the totals here. Well, some of them are not. Some of them are not in. The Dodgers still with the highest total, probably. Yeah, there you go. Colorado, Arizona, that is a pretty high total. Let me reload this. Like I said, it's going to be a short show with you guys contributing in the YouTube chat. I'm just looking through. Getting the scope of tonight's slate, which I don't even think I'm going to play, because typically we record the MMA Ground and Pound, the premium podcast here at RotoGrinders, like during lock. Like, what is this, a 7 o'clock slate? Yeah, I'll probably be in the middle of a recording at this point, so probably won't play, but maybe I will. I don't know. I have to see when we're recording. The time changes all the time, so we will see. DFick asks, dumb question. I'm sorry. Okay, at least you're apologizing for the dumb question, which I haven't even read yet. At least you're apologizing. In a vacuum, if you run the optimal lineup with no settings, is that the highest EV lineup? No. You need other variables in order to determine what a plus EV lineup is. It's in comparison to other lineups depending on the contest that you're playing. Also, we have to agree that the projections are accurate, right? We could all agree that the projections are the most accurate you can possibly make them, or whatever. Running the optimal lineup would be the highest EV lineup against a single lineup. That's a better way to put it. So, like, if we ran the bat projections right now, Strider, Cease, Raleigh, Chavis, like this lineup as a whole, theoretically, with the highest median projection, assuming these are normal distributions, also, I have to put a technicality behind there. This would be the highest expected value lineup against one other lineup. That's all that is, against one other lineup. Your goal is the 50th percentile. This would be the one with the highest chance of giving you a 50th percentile outcome. Which against a single other lineup, like that, I'm talking about a head-to-head, would be the highest EV lineup that you could possibly make in comparison to any other lineup. Now, the second best lineup, the second optimal, is so close that if you played the first optimal against the second optimal, you'll win 50.0001% of the time. So it's slightly better. But this lineup against the lineup that projects 8 points lower will win 68% of the time or something. So, but no one could build, assuming the projections are accurate, no one could build a better median lineup than you, which is useful in situations where you have to beat one lineup, where your concern is getting in the 50th percentile range. So that would be head-to-heads, 50-50s, double-ups, I guess, to some extent. So yes, against other lineups in those types of contests. Once you get outside of those types of contests, then the EV of this lineup starts going down. In a large field GPP, the EV of this lineup would probably be negative in the long run. You'd probably cash a lot of times, but probably by the end you'd probably be negative a couple of percent. You'll bleed to the rake with this type of lineup. You're rarely ever gonna win. You're more likely you're playing a lineup that is less correlated and more owned. High projected. You'll get a lot of 50th to 55th percentile outcomes, but you're probably not going to get your whole lineup as a 99th percentile outcome and then still be able to differentiate yourself from other people. So the EV of this lineup is going to be negative in large field GPPs. Brian C says, I too have a dumb question. Oh, we got the dumb questions today. Can you show how to upload lineups from RotoGrinders after the build straight to DK? You just do that in Excel. Can I show how to upload? All you have to do is Like I haven't entered contests, so I mean, do I have an old? Really delete these. Do I have old? Do I have an old contest file? Let's see. Let's see. So I haven't entered. Oh, I can do for MMA. Yeah, okay. Let's do it for because I have entered MMA contests. We have tutorials on this that they're free on YouTube. You could literally search for them, and they're on the RotoGrinders site. Okay. So if I go to where's DraftKings? If I go to where's lineups? You always do it by hand and encounter problems. I don't know. I don't know how you would encounter problems. So what you'd first do is here you go. You go to your edit entry screen. You got entry/upload screen and download your entries. And download. I get dkentries.csv. Okay, I open that up. I'll probably have to share my window in order to show you this. Okay. So let me change my share settings. Share. Window. Share. Steve could put it back up. Okay. So you get this file, right? And these are all your entries. Now, obviously, I have some entries that are not. These are my cash or three max entries. I mean, I could just get rid of them if I want, right? So here I have my 50 entries that I currently have into the UFC contest, right? The large field contest. And they all have a dummy lineup in there, right? So I created a lineup first, and then I entered it 50 times. So at least I have something here. Okay? So I have this file right here, the DK entries file. And then I go to here. I'm gonna these aren't the lineups I obviously make. Let's go and build 50 lineups. Just so build something, right? You build the 50 lineups. Okay. Hey, I got my lineups, whatever. You press the export button, right? I don't know if I could go. I'll show you. So when you go and you build it and your lineups and you press the export button, you'll get another file. The whatever DraftKings MMA 2022, whatever the name of the CSV. Okay. So you get another one. And this one, of course, I can't. They don't make it on StreamYard that you could just switch between windows so easily. Can we put it up? Can we just put it my entire screen? Do I have anything that's sensitive here or anything? Let me move that over there. Let's see. Is that going to work out? I don't know. Yeah, because you also see my StreamYard screen. Yeah, that's not going to work. This is the reason why you should just probably watch the tutorial because it's 27 seconds long and it's easy as hell. Okay. We'll put that back up. So basically, I got another file that has all the lineups from lineup HQ, and it just has those 6 columns in it. So you just cut and paste those 6 columns, right? You see here, I put it right on the F, cut and paste. There you go. So all my lineups are now cut and paste over on this file. And you save this, and then you upload it. Upload. Let me go back, share, window. Steve could put it back up on the screen. And you just Once you save that file, then you just upload it to CSV. I mean, it's not, I don't know. Typically, I don't do tutorials on how to do this because it's, I don't know. I don't see why it's difficult to do. And if you go on YouTube, you could find probably 700 tutorials on this. And I say it that way. Understand that I say it that way. Understand why my attitude the way it is. What was so hard? I'm going to do this. Okay, so I'm going to YouTube right now. How to upload lineups to DraftKings. I don't know. Here you go. It's literally the first video. And then you get even other people. Right. There's other, right? Entering editing a lineup to CSV. I mean, this is not even our site. You could find ever, but our video is number one. There you go, and there you go. It's a 2-minute tutorial. Like what prevented you from doing that? Like that's the thing that doesn't understand. That these are the types of things that I don't understand about the general public. And that's why I get high attitudes. How do you do this? Well, what did you type literally what you wanted to do into Google? You know that. Why wouldn't there be an explanation? Do you think you're the only one that has ever had that question? Well, why don't you look? Timothy McNally, just curious because you're brand new to DFS. What's the benefit of creating so many lineups unless you're rich? Because they're all profitable lineups. If I told you that there's a raffle, right? Some type of raffle where every dollar you put in, you get $5 back on average, right? Even though it's a big raffle, right? They're gonna pull a ball or whatever or something, and there's 10,000 balls in there or something. But what they're gonna pull, they're gonna like you for every dollar you spend, you should expect to get $5 back. Why wouldn't you buy as many raffle tickets as possible? Why wouldn't you? As long as you know that each of them are worth that much. That would be the reason. DFIC asks about Utica running a 20 train 20% or 30% of the time. I'm assuming he ran at a time. I don't know. You have to ask him. On the four-seamer, probably he just plays one lineup and he just runs 20 and he ran at a time. He's typically playing all slates, all sites, all everything. If you see some sharp player that played 150 trains somewhere on Yahoo or something, it's because they just never got to it. There's only so much they could do at once. So that's typically the reason. There's no strategic reason to do that. I have 20 entries into this contest, and oh my God, there's only 2 minutes left, and I still have 16 other things to do. Maybe the 20 entries into the $3.20 max aren't the priority when you have $87,000 worth of volume on the slate. That's typically the reason. Let's see. Let me get some trolls in the chat. And Eric Johnson says you could always tell a newbie when they use lines instead of lineups. Of course. Right. Antonio Jones says, I don't deserve to be live because no one was winning, other than me, obviously. Right. Right. I'm the only winner. But of course, it's someone that doesn't follow me and has never actually seen my rotor tracker. And yes, I accept smart questions. If you have stupid questions, I'm going to treat you stupidly. Yes, that would be true. I did show you how to upload lineups to DraftKings. The question is how I could help you further. This is how I'm going to help you. Okay? The best way to help yourself, okay, is by having cognitive thinking skills. So, for instance, like I have a course here. Obviously, you could take how to look like a professional DFS player, 15-hour audio masterclass. You could find this information is not new. Okay, none of this information is new. I didn't make up any of this. The concepts of math and statistics and probability have been around for hundreds of years, right? And we have this thing called Google. So if you want to learn how to do anything, boy, you live in a beautiful time. It's 2022, and you want to learn how to do something. Almost everything that has ever been done in the history of humankind, you could learn how to do just through a Google search box. So if I wanted to, how to upload lineups to DraftKings, this is what I don't understand. That like you would have to explain this to me. I'm saying this genuinely. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I don't understand why you can't do this. Like it's like it is literally unfathomable to me. Like that's why it's hard for me. It's literally hard for me to understand. My brain can't process it. I can't understand how you don't do this. It's like if my wife says I'm hungry and I go, well, just eat something. You go, well, I don't know how to eat food. It's like asking questions like that. So it's like if there's anything you ever wanted to learn how to do, there is there's information available. Who is pitching for the Dodgers today? Here you go, Dodgers probable pitchers. Like who? Of course, I could look. Who's projected to pitch for the Dodgers? Tony Gonsolin. Okay. Like, why would I ask anyone that? Like, I have Google. I have the internet. Like, what would be the purpose of that? If I wanted to know, what's the weather? Like, what's the weather? I mean, we have a weather report, so I mean, I could even just go. Right? We have a weather report on RotoGrinders. Right? I go to MLB weather report. Right? We have a starting lineups page. It's like, oh, Atlanta. Oh, look, Atlanta yellow. Oh, God made it yellow. Right? He gives his little weather report because he's a meteorologist. But it's like, oh, I want to see what's the weather in Atlanta. Is the weather? Is it going to rain in Atlanta today? I mean, I could just literally type it. Is it going to rain in Atlanta? Rain in Atlanta. I can see. I could go. There's radar. There's everywhere. Does it supposed to rain? Does it? I don't know. Thursday, I can take a look here. Like this is the stuff that I don't understand. Like I'm someone that doesn't ask many questions. Like if I ask a question, it's because I've probably spent at least 40 hours looking for it. And obviously it's never been answered because there's no chance I would ask a question that I could find myself. So like that's where the background comes from. I'm trying to explain my psyche. So when you feel like I'm being condescending, that's where it's coming from. It's coming from I don't understand how you did not find this because this is an easy answer to find, and 99+% of it is easy to find. Now, there's a difference between I found the answer and I don't understand what they're talking about. Can you break it down for me? Okay, that's a little bit different. The approach to that is a little. I can understand and be like, Yeah, I watched 84 videos on expected value. I read the equivalent of 4 books on expected value. I listened to 17 hours of podcast, and I still don't get it. Can you break it down for me? I'm here. Dude, I'll spend as long as you want. But when I hear people that are like, "Can you explain it to me?" And it's like, "Well, have you looked up these concepts online?" No, I haven't looked. I haven't even bothered any of this. I haven't bothered. That's how much you want to solve your problem? That you haven't even bothered to Google it? Alex Santi says some people aren't visual learners. Arlen, kinesthetic learners need to ask more questions? I guess so. Well, wouldn't you look it up? Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, wouldn't you look it up? Like, how did I learn this? I learned this by reading and looking and experimenting and looking everything up. If I want to know something, I just look it up. I'm never asking anyone for it because how much stuff is there to ask about? Everything is online. But people leave because of it. DFIC asks, who's the best pickup for today? Okay, no. Okay, just kidding. Do you use randomness in your process? And is it for Sims only up front, or you use it to pick lineups as well? No, I don't use any randomness. You could use randomness as a simulation of variance. But whether or not I use randomness or not should have no effect on your process whatsoever. All randomness does is either create diversification or simulate variance. Do you need to? Does your process involve already diversifying your lineups? No. Then do you need randomness? So if I were to create lineups here in Lineup HQ, sometimes I use randomness. These settings, when I build 150 lineups, will be different every single day. Literally every single day. Sometimes my range of outcomes and pitchers is 40%, which is really high. Sometimes it's 0. Sometimes my team level randomness is 10%. Sometimes it's 0. Sometimes it's 5. Sometimes it's 17. My hitter range of outcomes could be different. I may be using true range randomness. I'm only using these settings to produce the lineups that I want it to build. And typically the randomness stuff is like last resort type of things. Like, dude, I'm trying to create 100, like in MMA. There's a good one. In MMA, I'm building lineups and I'm eliminating certain combos, and I'm still getting like so many lineups that look alike to each other, even with like 2 uniques. It's like, now I'm still getting like these 3 fighters in like every single lineup. And how do I separate them a little bit more? And I see it's like, well, I have to play a little bit more of that guy. I have to play a little less of that person. But to have that all balance out manually is really tough to do. So sometimes it's a matter of like, let me see if I just add 10% randomness, will it just kind of like solve that diversification issue for me? And then I'd run and see what happens. Sometimes you look at it and you go, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Right? Then you get a lot of crap. But sometimes it works. Right? So you go in and you say, I'm going to up the projection variance to, 10, 15%. And see if my lineups, even though I've eliminated the combos in my player groups, the lineups are a little bit more diverse. Do they have to be diverse? No, they don't. The lineups were fine the way they were before. But if I have 100 lineups and 90 of them have the same 3 fighters in it, or a lot of them have the same 3 combinations, it's like, well, if one of those 3 loses, well, I like bombed all my lineups, even though I had 40% of each, but they're all like kind of stuck together. So if I want to be more diversified, then maybe I'd use randomness. That they wouldn't all be stuck. They're probably all stuck together because they probably all project well for their ownership. So the lineup builder is trying to make those types of lineups for me. And those lineups are great. But how many of those types of lineups do I really want to play? I could play 150 of them if I want, but I just understand that if one of them loses, you're dead. right? You'll live minus 95% on the day, which is fine. You have the bankroll to survive that. You don't mind those swings. That's fine. Okay, Doug. What I would highly suggest is that if you search on YouTube for the RotoGrinders pregame show, I've done about 250 of these, and I've answered most of these questions. So I mean, you could watch those, right? I've answered those questions many times in different ways, right? And questions like that, like with the randomness, that I think that's a valid question, right? When do you use randomness as a concept? Like you could utilize it more if needed. What does it do? Okay, it's viable. But I talk about that and a lot more in the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports. 15-hour audio DFS masterclass. Theoryofdfs.com. I'm telling you where the answers are. Here are the answers. You don't want a one-stop place. You don't want to watch 300 hours of content. Listen to 15 hours of content. Theoryofdfs.com. Just like if you want to know the weather, today, you go to the weather page on RotoGrinders. You want the starting lineups? We have a starting lineups page. We have so much stuff here at RotoGrinders. Literally answers all your questions about today's slate. We have all the content. Who are the plays? Who are the picks? Who are the whatever? We got, all the player tags from all of our experts. Right? We got all the player tags. We got Grinders Live later today. We got Crunch Time later today on YouTube. Hit the notification bell. If you want to know the pitch counts and what happened, how many times has this guy batted this way in this park and whatever, that's all in Plate IQ. You could look that all up. We have that all at RotoGrinders. If you're a RotoGrinders premium member, you could literally look it all up. Right? There's obviously stuff on Fangraphs you could probably look up also, right? If you like their format. But we have Vegas odds. We have player projections, lineup HQ, the expert rankings, projected ownership. We have the results DB, like I showed you before. All the results for all the contests till before the end of time. All the information's there. The thing is that you have to actually look for it, right? You go, oh, I have a question. This is interesting. Did whatever the question is, and then you could probably find the answer. All you have to do is take about, 8 seconds to look for it. Or you could come here, right? Instead of 8 seconds, you're gonna ask the question to someone and be like, I didn't feel like utilizing the 8 seconds, so I'm just gonna bog everyone else down with the questions that 90% of the audience already knows, and have this person explain it to me because I didn't bother looking for 8 seconds because I'm the center of the universe. That's how I see it. But I don't mind explaining things though. Okay. Justin Sports asks if I'm messing with the early slate. Is there an early? You're telling me there's an early? I mean, there's not much here. No, I'm not messing with 2, 3 games? No. I ain't messing with the early slate. I may not even mess with the main slate, depending on when we record this MMA podcast, which you could get behind the paywall, RotoGrinders Premium. Click on the link in the description, get $10 off your first month. And so tomorrow's MMA. Give me those thumbs up button or thumbs down button. I don't care. Give me the thumbs down button. Does it even exist anymore? Does the thumbs down button? I think it still helps us. You have the thumbs down button. But you do that, and I'll be back tomorrow going over the MMA slate for at least we got 12 fights. We had some fights canceled, and then Onama got a new opponent, so it's better than 11. I still prefer the 13 plus, 14, 15 game fight slates, but 12 is definitely better than 11. So at least it'll be somewhat playable. So I'll be talking about that tomorrow and answering your DFS strategy questions like I always do on the DFS pregame show on RotoGrinders.com.